Hello everyone, I'm very happy to be here, specifically because I think it's one of the most important conferences that we have. But also because 4 years ago, I remember being on this stage talking about transformation after I just had, together with Michelle, invented the term for the work we do. So a few years later now, so much has happened. So many experiences were made, so many animals rescued through transformation, and minds were changed. I'm really happy and also a bit nervous to share a little bit of our work. I tend to always say something off topic because there's always little room to talk to everyone, so I use my slot here. But I will keep it very short this time. I really just want to mention two things, like two rabbits. Never doubt that you and your community can change a lot. As you will see with our little farm that we changed quite a bit in Switzerland for the animals and the future of agriculture. And it came out of just one simple idea, and it got bigger. It's just one example that all of you in your fields can also do and probably already do in this case. So never doubt the power of change that you all have, even if you struggle sometimes and if it's hard. The other thing I want to say, because it's happening in Switzerland again, stop infighting if possible, work together, network with each other, because the others that we are facing, the change we want is so big. We need to be together to achieve what we want. So before I develop a bit on transformation, I want to ask into the audience, who has an idea what transformation even is? Okay, that's nice. Is there someone who wants to say in one sentence what it is? Shout it out loud. Yes, please.
Animals out, plants in.
Perfect. That's the shortest definition I've ever heard. Thank you for that. Exactly. It's about changing farms around so that the animals that suffer within these farms are liberated, but that the farms don't give up and still produce food. So what we want is, we want to replace animal products, and we want to plant more plants, as you said. So we want to produce food for humans as much as possible. And that's really the key. So it's not turning farms into sanctuaries only. There might be sanctuary parts in these transformed farms because we want to rescue as many animals as possible. But it's really staying in agriculture in order to change the whole system around. I need to look back a tiny bit. Some of you know this already. But it explains why would farmers listen to people like us without a farming background, but coming into agriculture. So it all started with us, my husband and I, founding a little sanctuary and farm. So what we wanted is not just to talk about all that's wrong with agriculture, but also to show how it could be done differently. So we built this little sanctuary called Hof Narr, where we rescue animals. That's the real core. As many animals as possible get to live a life according to their needs. But the fields we use not only for letting the animals out, but also for producing food, to show that a vegan agriculture is possible. And along with this, we started education because we wanted to show people who the animals are. We wanted to show as many people as possible Who are these animals that we talk about? Because that's the key for change. We need to understand who are the victims and what do they need. So as a third place of work was education. And since with that we were a running farm, we did have animals, we didn't kill them, we didn't exploit them, but we were working, and farmers around saw that. And so it happened that in 2017, the first dairy farmer contacted us and said, could I do the same? Because from today on, I'm not going to kill any animal ever again. So either I give up and run away, or I find another solution. And of course, you might know this strategy. We used fake it until you make it. Sure, we can help you. We know how it works. But it worked, and it was very fast. 2 months it took us to change the farm around and keep it running, financially sustainable, rescue all the animals, and even getting into media talking about these dairy cows that are so holy and so well protected in Switzerland, which they are not, of course. And this was kind of the starting point that I was talking about 4 years ago here as well. It didn't have a name back then, and I didn't think it would make so many minds change. I like to work with words that start with the same letter. So in this case, it's P, the power of agriculture. The power is, of course, producing food. We all need to eat. It's essential that we understand that closing down farms is not the solution, but we need to find other ways. You will find me repeating that many times, but it's crucial. It's being part of the solution. Nowadays, farming is part of the problem for so many things, not only ethically. You know that. I'm not going to evaluate. But they can be part of the solution. And with that, they can participate in creating a new normal, even though I don't like the word normal so much, but a new reality for everyone. And it's piecework, not only because peace work, but only because what happens on farms happens in the world. Because what I see when I go to farms is often a very cruel way of communicating with each other. There's violence involved. There's tragedy involved. And there's no wonder about it, because the way they treat their animals, of course, that's also the way they treat themselves and other beings, including their families. TransFARMation aims at systemic change. So it's really about changing what is wrong. It's about ending the suffering. It's about ending animal suffering, of course. But it's also about ending human suffering, other animal suffering. Farmers don't like to hear that, so sometimes I use humans and animals, but of course we are also animals. It's recognizing sentience in all living beings, and out of that, the right to life and many more rights. It's creating sustainable food systems, that we can all have a future on this planet, and that we can find out that we're here together. Animals are here with us, not for us. As I said, it's becoming part of the solution. And it's becoming aware that they are someone, not something, but also some farmers learn through the process that they, as farmers, are someone, not something. I want to mention 6 ways into TransFARMation. You might guess that not all ways are the same, but it just gives you a picture about why would farmers contact us, because it's always, in the end, the farmers that contact us. In the core, you see equality. So there was Michael. He is a big pig farmer. He has made a fortune with breeding pigs and sending thousands of them to slaughter. Because he was so rich, he didn't need to go into the stables anymore himself. So he had employees. That one day, he was sick. And not he was sick, why did I say that? 2 employees were sick, so he became sick. But before that, he needed to go inside the pig's place. And what he saw, and that's so interesting, was 2 eyes. It was a mother sow looking at him, and that happens very often. If they look at you, there's someone looking back at you, like Timo also said from his pictures. And he realized that there's someone behind these eyes. For the very first time after years of this work. And he couldn't move anymore. He went outside and he became sick, in fact. And he started to find or look for other solutions. So that was his starting point. Today, he's growing proteins and potatoes. He rescued some of the pigs on his farm. Some went to other places, and some couldn't survive because they were not capable of living. For example, the mother sows who have no muscles. Then there was Lucas, a different situation. He was observing our work, and he realized, this is my way out. I was never happy with what I do. I was never thinking that I could do something else. I wanted to be a farmer somehow, but I didn't know how I could do without killing animals. And suddenly, he saw an option. And it was a very rational decision. He just wanted to go out. Then there's Thomas. He's living in the same village than we do. He is observing since quite a time, but he is not brave enough, let's call it that. His dad threatens him if he does change, that he will do whatever violent stuff. And he's not strong enough, even though he's the owner of the farm. It happens quite often, by the way. The dads come and pressure so much. But I know, maybe next time I come to Luxembourg, I will talk about Thomas, that he finally changed, because he's longing, he really wants it, and he will. Then there's Tamara. She called me one day because there was a cow, a bull, that she had fallen in love with. So she said, I can't kill this bull. It's his time now, but I can't. His name is Henry, and I need to find a solution. Someone told me you help people who want to rescue animals. And I heard the absurdity of her words, because there were many other cows, of course, involved. And I said, I cannot help you find a place for Henry, but I can change your whole farm around. And she said, no way, we need meat to eat. 2 weeks later, she called me again, and she said, so tell me how it works. And then there's Flo.
Hi from my side. I try to give a quick answer because the time goes by. Of course, the exploitation of the animals is reason enough. I think Sarah will speak about it in the next packages. But everyone of you know, I think, what impact the livestock farming has on our environment. For example, for the greenhouse gases, for the biodiversity, for the quality of the water, and how inefficient we use our farming land. And now we are 8 billion people on the world. 10% of them are suffering on hunger. 2050 we will be 10 billion people, and we have to find solutions. Sadly, or in a good way, we have the solutions, and now we have to do more transformation to deal with these challenges.
So I say only one word, I saw the time. For me, Sarah, of course, it's justice. You see the two beings in the middle. Justice is my motivation, and justice is why I will never give up until all farms are transformed. There is the emotional motivator, as you have heard a little bit now, so I will not go into that, but if you want, you can read it. It's a lot about happiness. A man doesn't cry. I'm now allowed to tear down my walls. And all these really strong emotions that come from farmers that you wouldn't even think of in the beginning. And as mentioned in the beginning, starting a few years ago with only one farm, we are now at 135 farms. Thank you. In Switzerland alone. So imagine all the initiatives that start in other countries and all these farms and all these people behind that also inspire again others. We can really go somewhere. Because this is my main motivation, that's how it started. I also want to talk about the animals, the individuals. This is now like a statistic and doesn't move much. But if you think about all the individuals behind, it is a good feeling. Flo will talk about the hurdles and challenges of farmers. I just want to mention that, of course, it's not always easy. There is a lot involved behind the pink-looking Instagram world. There's a lot of suffering for us. There's a lot of cruelty. There have been dangerous situations where, for example, I was locked in by a father who wanted me to stay there, I don't know how many days. There have been many, many situations that are not funny and have to be taken care of, and I'm very happy also to have Flo on my side. It's true. And of course, the emotional factors. You see a lot of suffering because when you go there, for example, if one family member wants to change and you go there for the conversation, you go to these big farms and you see the status quo, and it's never nice. Then there's some illusions that happen now a bit, that people think since we helped so many farms, we can also help many more other situations. We can rescue every animal. We can help all the sanctuaries that don't work. We can do everything, and we can't. We are also just a small community. So there we need to also find solutions to protect ourselves a bit and to see how to manage these challenges. I just want to mention them because sometimes it sounds like there's all these farmers coming and wanting to change and it's easy peasy going. It's of course a lot of hard work and it's a lot of strategy. I try to tell this story very short because I always want to make one animal speak, and in this case it's Uli, who has taught me a lot about strategy. Because he's a mini pig, like mini pigs tend to be small, and when he moved in, he was happy with the other mini pigs for a while. But then he saw the big pigs that live on our farm. And of course, no, not of course, but for Uli, of course, he felt big himself and he wanted to move there. So he broke the fence several times to go with the big pigs. And we were kind of scared, will he manage? There's a lot of big pigs, and there's sometimes a little bit trouble when it's about food and stuff. This tiny pig, will he manage? But he was so clear that he always found a way to go back. And because he knew, probably, we don't know, that we will only trust him if he proves, right? He became the boss of the big pigs, and then there was no question anymore. That being said, strategy is all transformation is all about strategy. An example that touched me today was the situation. I was on a farm where there's two brothers involved. One really wants to change, and the other one was discussing a lot with me, was getting loud and against it all. And in the end, I took a picture that Timo made. I'm sure you attended his talk yesterday. It was this picture, and I wrote, "Who do you see or what do you see?" And today he wrote, "You said that the exploitation of animals for a quick dinner experience is one of the greatest crimes in history. I can't say that's wrong. So I have to say that it's probably right. And I want to try to look back to my past and back into the eyes of the animals, because that was what I was talking about before. So now this huge farm is hopefully changing, combined with strategy and pictures by Timo and all the efforts we put into that. I think it's a beautiful example."
Okay, first of all, I want to say that my English is not as good as it should be, so please be a little bit patient to me. And if it's my fault that we don't have enough time for a Q&A, I'm quite sure that we will be here for the next 2 days, and you can ask us every time you want. You will find us everywhere, nearly. Yeah, when I want to introduce you into the process of the transformation, but something important in advance, because it contains the core of the importance of transformation work. Yeah. For many farmers, there are only two options, as Sarah said, when they are doing their livestock farming and they don't like it anymore and they suffer too. They only have two options in their mind: to continue or to quit. And it's crazy that for them there's no other options, but they are so trapped in their system and in their patterns. And yeah, we want to give a third option to these farmers, to do something else and in fact do something better. Of course, livestock farming is, it's it's an exploitation, and that also knows the farmers, but sometimes in the process it really takes a long time that they see it, that they feel it, that they open their heart for this. Yes, and transformation work, the core of the transformation work, we want to show that something can be different, there can be a change. And we want to use the farmland not only for sanctuaries. Of course, sanctuaries are important, especially the animal part where the animals live. And we also want to use this farmland, and that's really, really important for our transformation, that we use the land for the cultivation of crops, special crops, legumes, and we want to use the land efficient, and including this, that we want to be to implement an agriculture that is more and more efficient and better to the environment. And this is, we want to break the chains and want to bring another idea of agriculture into the world, and first on a small scale and then on a big scale. And this is transformation, and this is absolutely necessary. About the process, here you see 3 packages. Of course, not every package is completely, and it's in the same order in the whole process. But first, you can see the hurdles. That is really, really an important package. And as you can see, for the farmers, in the fallacy, it's often that people think finances are the biggest problems, or the feasibility. hurdle are the most hurdles, but that's not true. I mentioned, Sarah said it many times, I said it already, that the social hurdles are the biggest ones. Yeah, when you imagine that when a farmer opens his heart, see what happens in his barns, and he wants to change something, the first hurdle is interpersonal. So he has to feel the feelings, he has to collect the information that there are other possibilities, and then a second, kind of social hurdle that he will give us a call or write us an email, for example. And yes, sorry, it's my notice. And as you maybe know, the social milieu and the self-identification, with the principles and the mentality it's a really crazy hurdle, because they have to break with these hurdles. And there's also, with these social hurdles, there's a great danger of backsliding or withdrawal. And yes, we try always to be a part and want to stand next to the farmers and support them. It's really, really important. It's the biggest hurdle at all. Yeah. There are also, of course, there are the financial hurdles. There are the hurdles of feasibility. But in fact, there's never been a transformation project where these hurdles were the real hurdles. Yeah. We always fix these gaps, for example. Of course, or Sarah mentioned also the motivation of the farmers and the emotional motivation. This one are the strongest. Of course, there are financial motivation or motivation also of the ecological way, for example, for saving the biodiversity. And yes, with the emotional motivation, we like to work more, because it's a better way, it's more sustainable way, it's the strongest way, and the suffering of the farmers is the basement for the transition. With the analysis and concept is the second package. I forgot to say at the beginning, in Switzerland we always want that the farmers contact us first. That's really important, that we feel their motivation. We are not the persons who walk around and see a farm and knocking at the door and ask, hey, would you like to transform? That's really important for us, of course. Maybe in other countries, for example in Austria and Germany, now transformation teams have built, and maybe it's another campaign. We don't know, but yes. After the first contact, they often it's a quite a shy call or a short email. We get in touch, we know each other, and then we go and visit the farm and the family, and have a look about the infrastructure, get to know each other, feel the motivation, try to feel or know what's the wishes, the experience, and the strengths of the farmers, because this is going to be a big part, an important part for the pillars of the farm in the future. And yes, after this process, also we take a look at the annual accounts, and it depends on the pillars. We also do some kind of forecasts, do some different calculations. This also, especially my part as a business economist, and it's as a big business economist, of course, I'm more a lover of numbers than of languages, as you maybe feel. After this process, it's a longer process. We we have a first approximately draft of the pillars of the future farm, and then we split. The farmers think about it. We have some conversations afterwards, and then the process starts. And when we develop the new pillars of the farm, yeah. For example, will the farm be a sanctuary? Yeah, or what another pillar may be for, is it that the farm will include like a care farming option pillar, yeah, for example, caring for people with disabilities, with mental illness, or unemployed people, or another pillar maybe, for example, to bring the biodiversity back on track. Yeah, that's also some stuff where what the government will pay also, yeah, or a fourth and the most important pillar for us, of course, to use the land for cultivate some crops, as I already said, or legumes, for example, chickpeas, lentils, yeah, that will used in a raw or in a further process, and or cultivate fungus, how do you call it? Mushrooms, of course, mushrooms. Yeah, there are many options, many ways, and we try to get an idea of the financial needs the farmers have, and afterwards we try to pick up different pieces of the future farm and the pillars where we can collecting the money. Yes, and at the end we have sometimes it's a process of more than 2, 3, 4 months, and then we have a first draft of the farm, and then we talk about what will going on, what we speak about the financial plan, about the schedule when we start, and yeah, it depends on the pillars of the farm what we do next. Yeah, very important over the whole process of the transition. Courage is very, very important because it's a crazy situation for the farmers. Yeah, as I already said, the social hurdles are really, really high. They have to broke with their family sometimes. Yeah, it's a massive pressure. Yeah, the farm has 2 or 3 generations sometimes in the same family, and when you decide to do something different, you always have conflict with the family. And as Sarah said, we already have some experience. She was trapped. We have also some cases where another farmer is trapped in the cellar or beaten up in the hospital because the father doesn't want that he will do the transition. I think 2 years later the transition will happen. Yeah, okay. And yeah, there are many threats about it. But yeah, when we do the implementation, for example, then we try to find homes for the animal, we stop the fertilization, we try to find financial support, to build a social media infrastructure and everything else. It also depends on the pillars, of course. And what's really, really important, we try to network and build collaborations. Yeah, and over the whole process, it's very, very intense. Sometimes we only have to give a little support, and some farmers will really need on every packages really, really much support. Yes, but step by step, we're getting to the final goal, and yeah, for today, 135 farms did the transition. Okay, I think we have 2 minutes now.
I will skip the last slide.
But yeah, okay. Yeah, just really, really short. What will be needed now and in the future? That yeah, we spread the information that, for example, transformation is possible. That there are also already teams, for example, as I said, in Germany and in Austria and Switzerland, and in other countries too, and that it's possible in every country. Yeah, and that you have really a feeling for the situations of the farmers. It's a high pressure situation for them. We need low threshold services. Yeah. So when you give support, mind that it's a heavy situation, and it's not that we have that you just support a project where that's after 100% of your imagine of your image of the future farm, because farmers doing sometimes, of course, because it's a big change, a big transition, they're doing always or sometimes small steps. Yeah, and also tackle and act upon the current problems. Not only talking and protesting. Of course, protest is really important work, but also try to support, to create something new. And yes, cooperation and networking, of course, as I said. Yeah. You will skip the next one?
I think so.
Okay. Then we want to show just the last video of the biggest transformation last year, or
It's
yeah,
with the most individuals.
with the most individuals. It was an ecological egg farm.
Diese Tage des Ausstallens, die waren immer so wie ein Mahnmal.
Einerseits bin ich so aufgewachsen und es ist normal. Andererseits sehe ich auch, dass es nicht normal sein kann.
Ich finde, die Zeit, die die Tiere hier leben, also da habe ich wirklich höchste Ansprüche eigentlich. Oder den Anspruch, dass sie möglichst ihrem Wesen gerecht leben dürfen. Also sie haben genauso das Recht dazu, wie wir Menschen auch. Und ich kann nicht verstehen, warum das in unserer Welt nicht so ist. Warum es eigentlich normal ist, dass man denkt, dass wir Menschen mehr das Recht auf ein glückliches Leben oder ein Leben, wo unsere Bedürfnisse gestillt sind, haben als Tiere.
Bisher hatten wir vor allem Legehennen 2000. Wir haben einen Biohof, also das ist das Maximum, was man haben darf in einem Stall.
Sobald man eine bestimmte Masse an Tieren hat, ergeben sich halt einfach Nachteile. Also sei es jetzt hygienischer Art oder auch von den Tieren, wie sie untereinander umgehen.
Ich kann die bringen zum Schlachthof. Ich habe auch schon selber Tiere geschlachtet. Ich kann das, aber ich mache es nicht gerne. Und wenn ich es vermeiden kann, wieso mache ich es dann nicht?
Irgendwie fühlt man sich einfach ohnmächtig, weil man weiß, ja, man kann einfach nicht viel ausrichten. Man ist limitiert durch die Art der Haltung und durch die Masse, oder? Als dann Sarah da war und wir diese Perspektive wirklich gesehen haben und auch wir gemerkt haben, oh doch, das ist wirklich eine mögliche Realität, diese Hofumstellung, das hat uns sehr befreit. Man muss sich vorstellen, diese Ohnmacht, die wir vorher hatten, die klebt so an einem.
Ich denke, für uns war das Gefühl, als wir das entschieden haben, Erleichterung. Weil wir jetzt wirklich sagen konnten, ja, jetzt sehen wir mal ein Ende von dem, was wir nicht wollen. Und wir haben beschlossen, dass wir jetzt die Hühner abgeben, und zwar das letzte Mal, dass wir mit dem Hühnerstall aufhören und nur einige zurückbehalten, die dann in ein anderes System kommen können und weiterleben dürfen. Und mit dieser Entscheidung kam die Entscheidung, dass wir sicher keine anderen Tiere mehr schlachten und dass wir andere Ideen umsetzen können, weil wir nicht mehr auf gewisse Punkte achten müssen, die sich aus der Hühnerhaltung ergeben haben. Und das macht Spaß und wir hoffen halt dann, dass es gut kommt.
Just 0. No word. Okay. Okay, very quick. We have a YouTube channel. There's other films of other farms, but many farms, of course, don't want to be filmed. Also the big ones that I like to have here on a film. But follow us on Instagram and you learn more on TransFARMation and YouTube and Facebook. And
Thanks a lot, Sarah and Florian.
Sorry.